Welcome, my friends. Today I want to tell you the story of a lost soul who found her true calling and the home of her heart. All thanks to one bold choice made one fateful day. Enjoy the story. Olivia wiped down the last table and sighed, brushing a strand of chestnut hair out of her emerald green eyes. Another long shift at Rosie's diner was finally over. "Hey, Livy, good work today," Chef Frank called out with a wink as he hung up his apron. Olivia forced a smile. She hated when he called her that, but she couldn't complain. This job paid triple what she made at the textile factory. Every tip brought her one step closer to finally buying a used car and getting out of this dead-end town. Earth to Olivia. Emma, her perky blonde co-worker, waved a perfectly manicured hand in front of Olivia's face. "A bunch of us are heading to Murphy's Pub for drinks. Want to join?" Olivia shook her head. "Thanks, but I'm beat. Gonna head home and crash." "Suit yourself, girl. But one of these days a handsome millionaire is gonna walk through that door and sweep you off your feet, and I'm gonna say I told you so." Emma winked before flouncing off, ponytail bobbing. Olivia allowed herself an amused smirk as she watched Emma go. A millionaire in this podunk town? Fat chance. Olivia had big dreams once. She even got a degree in child psychology, full of idealistic plans to help troubled youth. But life had a way of slapping you in the face with reality. Saddled with student debt, she took a thankless job as a kindergarten aide, only to find herself overworked, underpaid, and unappreciated. Desperate for a change, she fled here to River Falls and got a job at the textile mill. But after a year of backbreaking labor for minimum wage, she realized it was a dead end too. That's when she started waitressing. It wasn't glamorous, but at least the tips were good. If she kept scrimping and saving, in another year she would finally have enough to... The tinkle of the doorbell jolted Olivia out of her reverie. She glanced up to see a tall, haggard-looking man in a rumpled suit stride into the diner, a young girl trailing listlessly behind him. The man scanned the diner before selecting a booth by the window and shuffling the girl into it. Olivia noted with surprise the layer of dust and grime coating the man's expensive-looking shoes and the girl's patent leather Mary Janes. They must have driven a long way. Olivia grabbed a pencil and order pad and approached the table, pasting on her best friendly waitress smile. "Hi there, welcome to Rosie's. What can I get started for you?" The man looked up at her with bleary, bloodshot eyes. He looked to be in his mid-30s, with a handsome face marred by exhaustion. "Coffee, black," he grunted. He gestured vaguely toward the girl. "And I don't know, whatever's good for her." Olivia glanced at the girl, huddled silently in the corner of the booth. She looked to be about 6 or 7. A mop of dark curls framed a heart-shaped face with huge, haunted brown eyes. Olivia's gut clenched. Something wasn't right here. "How about some hot cocoa and a grilled cheese sandwich?" Olivia suggested gently. The girl said nothing, just continued to stare blankly at the tabletop. "Yeah, sure, whatever," the man mumbled, not even looking at the girl. "Coming right up." Olivia collected the menus and hurried to put in the order, mind racing. That poor little girl. She seemed terrified of the man with her. A father, maybe? Whoever he was, Olivia was certain he was bad news. Minutes later, Olivia returned to the table with a mug of coffee and a steaming cup of cocoa topped with whipped cream and rainbow sprinkles. "Here you go, sweetie. Careful, it's hot." She set the cocoa in front of the little girl with an encouraging smile. The girl flinched involuntarily, like a frightened rabbit. Her sleeve rode up, exposing an arm mottled with massive purple bruises. Olivia felt her blood run cold. She straightened up and turned to the man, fighting to keep her expression neutral. "Your food will be out shortly, sir." Then she spun on her heel and power-walked to the kitchen, heart thudding against her ribcage. Oh, God, that girl was being abused, no question. She had to do something. She burst into the kitchen and nearly collided with Frank. "Whoa there, where's the fire?" He held up his hands. "Frank, I need you to call the police right now," Olivia said urgently. "There's a little girl out there, and I'm pretty sure the man she's with is abusing her. She's got bruises all over her arms." Frank's eyes widened. He glanced out at the dining room, brow furrowed. "You sure about this, Livy? That's a serious accusation." "I know what I saw," Olivia insisted. Please, Frank, you have to trust me on this. That child is in danger. Something in her voice must have gotten through to him. Okay, he relented. I'll call the cops. But you get back out there and keep an eye on them. Stall them if you have to till the police get here. Olivia nodded grimly. She squared her shoulders and marched back out, her flimsy waitress uniform suddenly feeling like battle armor. She approached the table with the sandwich, arranging her features into a bright smile. Here you are. 1 grilled cheese hot off the griddle. Can I get you folks anything else? The man scowled at her. Just the check. Olivia's mind raced. She had to find a way to keep them here. Of course, I'll be right back with that. How's your cocoa, sweetie? She crouched down to the girl's eye level. I put extra sprinkles on top just for you. The girl darted a frightened glance at the man, then nodded hesitantly. She picked up the mug and took a tiny sip. Slow down there, it's super hot, Olivia warned with exaggerated concern. Why don't you let it cool for a few minutes? In the meantime, would you like some crayons to color with? She pulled a pack of crayons and a blank placemat out of her apron. The girl's eyes widened. She looked up at Olivia with a mixture of confusion and wonder, like no one had ever offered her something so simple and kind before. Olivia's heart broke. I want to get out of here, the man grumbled, shifting in his seat. I understand, sir. Let me go grab your check real quick. Olivia stood and hurried off before he could object further. She made a show of rummaging around the register and printing out a slip of paper as slowly as humanly possible. She was just about to return to the table when flashing red and blue lights filled the parking lot. The cavalry had arrived. 2 officers strode in, hands on their holsters. Olivia sagged with relief and pointed them toward the booth. They approached the man, who had jumped to his feet, looking confused and angry. Daniel Weaver? One of the officers asked. The man nodded warily. We received a call about a suspected case of child abuse. We're going to need you to come with us and answer some questions. Weaver's face flushed crimson. What? This is ridiculous. That's my daughter. I would never hurt her. Then you won't mind clearing this up down at the station, the officer replied evenly. Please come with us, sir. While Weaver sputtered and fumed, the other officer knelt down in front of the little girl. Hi there, sweetie. What's your name? He asked softly. The girl hugged herself, shrinking back in her seat. Lily, she whispered. Hi, Lily. I'm Officer Mike. You're not in any trouble, I promise. We just need to ask you a few questions about your dad, okay? Lily bit her lip and nodded slowly. The officer helped her out of the booth. Weaver started to protest. Now wait just a damn minute. That's my daughter. You can't just— Settle down, sir. Let's not make this worse. The first officer cut him off sternly. You'll have a chance to tell your side of things down at the station. Tight-lipped, Weaver allowed himself to be led away. He shot Olivia a murderous glare as he passed. She lifted her chin and stared back, unflinching. She wasn't about to be cowed by the likes of him. The officers escorted Weaver and Lily out to the waiting squad car. Olivia hurried after them, heart in her throat. Impulsively, she called out, Wait! Officer Mike turned, one hand on the open car door. Everything okay, miss? Olivia nodded breathlessly. I wanted to give Lily this, in case she gets bored. She held out the crayons and placemat. The officer smiled. That's very kind of you. He passed them to Lily, who took them as reverently as a priceless treasure. As the squad car drove off, lights still flashing, Olivia sagged against the doorframe. The adrenaline was beginning to wear off, replaced by shaky relief. She didn't know exactly what would happen next, but at least Lily was out of immediate danger. Someone would make sure she was safe now. Olivia startled at the feel of Frank's hand on her shoulder. You did good, kid, he said gruffly. Real good. I'm proud of you. Olivia swiped at her damp eyes. Thanks, Frank. I'm just glad that little girl is going to be okay. With you looking out for her, she will be. He patted her arm. Now come on, let's close up shop and get you home. It's been one hell of a day. Exhausted but resolute, Olivia followed Frank back inside the diner. She knew, bone deep, that she'd done the right thing, no matter what happened next. That night, Olivia tossed and turned, unable to get Lily's haunted eyes out of her mind. By the time her alarm went off the next morning, she felt like she hadn't slept at all. She was groggy and distracted all through her morning shift, messing up orders and forgetting extra sides. Emma eyed her with concern as they passed in the kitchen. You feeling okay, hun? You look like death warmed over. Olivia rubbed her temples. Yeah, just didn't sleep well is all. Got a lot on my mind. This is about that little girl from yesterday, isn't it? Emma said shrewdly. I heard all about it from Frank. That was real brave, what you did. Olivia shrugged, suddenly self-conscious. I just did what anyone would do. I couldn't stand by and let a child be hurt. Not everyone has the guts to get involved like that, Emma countered. I know I might have talked myself out of it, made excuses, but not you. She squeezed Olivia's hand. I meant what I said before, you know. You're gonna do great things one day, Olivia Benson. Just you wait. Despite her exhaustion, Olivia felt a rush of gratitude. Thanks, Emma. That means a lot. Their moment was broken by the ding of the kitchen bell and Frank's bellow of, Order up! The rest of the day passed in a blur. Olivia felt like she was sleepwalking, going through the motions of bussing tables and refilling drinks. All she could think about was Lily. Was she safe now? What would happen to her? The not knowing was driving Olivia crazy. She practically jumped out of her skin when Frank called her name from across the diner. Olivia, got a visitor here for you. Heart-pounding, Olivia hurried over and stopped dead when she saw who was waiting for her. It was Daniel Weaver, looking even more rumpled and weary than yesterday, with Lily beside him. Olivia instinctively stepped in front of the girl, shielding her. What are you doing here? She demanded. Weaver held up his hands in a placating gesture. I know what this looks like, but please, just hear me out. Olivia crossed her arms. I'm listening. First of all, I owe you an apology for my behavior yesterday, Weaver began. I was exhausted and not thinking straight. I never meant to give the impression that I would hurt my own child. He took a deep breath, visibly collecting himself. The truth is, Lily and I have been through hell. Her mother, my ex-wife, disappeared with her over a year ago. I've been searching for them nonstop. When I finally tracked them down, I found Lily living in squalor. Dirty, hungry, covered in bruises. He closed his eyes as if warding off the memory. Her mother's boyfriend did that to her. The cops arrested him. I got emergency custody, and we've been driving for 2 days straight to get back to my hometown. By the time we stopped here yesterday, I was dead on my feet. Not that it's any excuse. He scrubbed a hand over his face. Olivia's natural suspicion warred with an unexpected pang of sympathy. She looked at Lily, still hiding behind her father's legs. The girl peeped up at her with tentative curiosity. Olivia's heart melted. She crouched down to Lily's level. I'm sorry you've had such a hard time, sweetie. But you're safe now, okay? Your daddy is going to take good care of you. Lily nodded solemnly. Then, in a barely audible whisper, Thank you for giving me crayons. Olivia's eyes welled up. She swallowed hard. You're very welcome. Maybe we could color together sometime. Would you like that? Lily nodded again, more vigorously this time. The ghost of a smile flickered across her face. Weaver cleared his throat. Actually, I wanted to ask. Lily has taken quite a shine to you, and Lord knows she needs a positive female influence in her life right now. I know it's a lot to ask, but would you consider spending some time with her? Just until we get settled back home? I'm happy to pay you for your trouble. Olivia stared at him, flabbergasted. This was the last thing she'd expected. Her first instinct was to refuse. She was just a waitress, for Pete's sake. What could she possibly have to offer a traumatized child? But then she looked at Lily again, so small and lost, and she knew she couldn't say no. Maybe it was crazy, but some gut instinct told Olivia that this little girl needed her, that this was the reason she'd walked into the diner in the first place. Slowly she nodded. Okay, I'll do it. For Lily. The answering smile that lit up Lily's face was brighter than the sun. Over the next 2 weeks, Olivia spent every spare moment she had with Lily. They colored and read books and fed the ducks down at the pond. Slowly but surely, Olivia watched the little girl come out of her shell. With each tiny smile and burst of carefree laughter, Olivia felt her own heart heal a little. This bright, resilient little girl made her feel like she had a purpose again, a renewed sense of direction. Maybe she had ended up in this backwater town for a reason after all. All too soon, it was time for Daniel and Lily to head back to Daniel's hometown of Cedar Springs. The three of them stood together in the parking lot of the diner, none of them quite willing to say goodbye. "I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done," Daniel said hoarsely. "You've been an absolute godsend." Olivia ducked her head, touched and a little embarrassed. "I was happy to do it. Lily is a special kid." "That she is." He squeezed his daughter's hand. "You know, Cedar Springs isn't that far from here. Only a couple hours' drive." He looked at Olivia with an unspoken question in his eyes. Olivia's stomach fluttered. She swallowed hard. "Maybe I'll take a drive out that way sometime. See how you're settling in." "We'd like that," Daniel said softly. "Wouldn't we, Lil?" Lily nodded enthusiastically. Then she darted forward and threw her arms around Olivia's waist. "Thank you, Miss Olivia," she whispered, "for everything." Olivia hugged her back fiercely, blinking back tears. "Anytime, kiddo. You take care of your dad for me, okay?" Lily nodded against Olivia's stomach. Then, with obvious reluctance, she stepped back and took her father's hand. Daniel and Olivia's eyes met over Lily's head. A world of unspoken understanding passed between them. "See you around, Olivia Benson," Daniel said with a crooked smile. "See you?" Olivia raised a hand in farewell, watching until their car disappeared down the road. She stood there a long time, marveling at the unexpected turn her life had taken. 2 weeks ago, she'd been stuck in a rut, convinced that nothing would ever change. Now, for the first time in years, she felt a flicker of hope, of possibility. Like maybe, just maybe, she was exactly where she was meant to be. Exactly 2 weeks after Daniel and Lily left River Falls, Olivia found herself behind the wheel of her recently purchased second-hand sedan, driving down the highway toward Cedar Springs. Her stomach was a flutter of nerves, but beneath that, a calm sense of rightness. She didn't know exactly what the future held, but she knew she was on the right path. She pulled up in front of a charming craftsman bungalow, double-checking the address Daniel had given her. Almost before she'd put the car in park, the front door flew open and Lily came barreling out, pigtails flying. "Miss Olivia, you came!" She launched herself at Olivia as she stepped out of the car. Olivia laughed and scooped the girl up in a hug, heart full to bursting. "Of course I came. I missed you too much to stay away." Daniel appeared in the doorway, grinning at the sight of them. "I think she's been camped out at the window all morning waiting for you." Olivia smiled at him over Lily's head. "That makes 2 of us." She followed them inside, taking in the cozy living room with its overstuffed sofa and brick fireplace. Framed photos of Daniel and Lily dotted the mantel, a testament to happier times. It already felt more like a home than Olivia's bare-bones apartment ever had. They spent the day exploring the town together, Lily chattering excitedly as they window-shopped along Main Street and sampled the local ice cream parlor. By the time they made their way to the park that evening, Olivia felt like she'd known them both for years instead of weeks. She and Daniel sat in companionable silence on a park bench, watching Lily turn cartwheels in the grass. The golden light of the setting sun seemed to cast everything in an enchanted glow. "She's like a different child from the one who walked into your diner that day," Daniel marveled. "I don't know if I'll ever be able to repay you for that." Olivia bumped her shoulder against his. "You don't owe me anything. I'm just grateful to be a part of her life. Yours too," she added softly. Daniel turned to look at her, eyes warm. "So am I." Slowly, giving her plenty of time to pull away, he reached out and took her hand. Olivia laced her fingers through his, pulse quickening. She'd wondered if the spark she'd felt between them had been all in her head. Now, feeling the warmth of his palm against hers, she knew it was real. This tentative tenderness held the promise of something deep and true, a connection that went soul deep. They sat like that for a long time, hand in hand, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the fireflies came out. Olivia knew, with sudden, perfect clarity, that this was where she belonged, that everything in her life, every seeming misstep and wrong turn, had been leading her to this moment, to this little family that already felt like home. When at last they rose to collect a sleepy Lily, Daniel turned to Olivia with a hopeful smile. "Will you stay tonight? I hate the thought of you driving back so late." Olivia's heart leapt. She searched his face and found only openness there, acceptance, the certainty that this was right. "I'd love to," she said simply. And just like that, the solitary life Olivia had known began to transform. Every weekend, she made the drive out to Cedar Springs. Days full of laughter and trips to the park gradually turned into cozy evenings curled up on the couch together, Lily nestled between them. Stolen moments and soft kisses after Lily had gone to sleep. The promise of something more hanging sweetly in the air. A month after that first visit, Daniel asked her to move in. Olivia said yes without a second's hesitation. It was like a missing puzzle piece sliding into place. For the first time, Olivia truly understood what it meant to be part of a family, to belong utterly and completely. Her experience with Lily had reignited Olivia's passion to work with children. With Daniel's encouragement, she enrolled in graduate school to get her counseling certification. Her dream of helping troubled kids suddenly seemed within reach again. She poured her heart and soul into her studies, knowing that every bit of knowledge and skill she gained would one day make a difference in the life of some lonely, frightened child. And through it all, her bond with Lily and Daniel only grew. Quiet moments spent coloring with Lily, soothing her after nightmares. Long talks with Daniel about their hopes and fears, and all the ways their broken places seemed to fit together. On the 1-year anniversary of that fateful day at the diner, Daniel got down on one knee and asked Olivia to be his wife. Lily shrieked with glee and danced around the living room as Olivia said yes, vision blurred with tears of joy. She couldn't imagine her life without them now. They were her heart and home. They married in a small backyard ceremony that fall, surrounded by a tight-knit group of family and friends. The air was crisp, the leaves just beginning to turn, but all Olivia could feel was warmth. The warmth of Daniel's hand in hers as they exchanged vows. The warmth of Lily's embrace as they swept her up between them. The warmth of finally truly coming home. Nearly 1 year to the day after they married, Olivia and Daniel welcomed a son. As she cradled little Ethan to her chest, Lily peering at him in wonder, Olivia marveled at the way one selfless act had transformed her entire existence. She had saved Lily, and in doing so, saved herself. Looking around at her little family, Olivia felt peace settle over her like a mantle. She knew that whatever challenges life threw at them, they would weather them together. For she had everything she needed right here in this room, in this little house that had become her whole world. She was home, in every sense of the word, and she would never let go.